Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Dr. Reverend Lee Pan Show. More of my opinions and my beliefs. This is 17-9 and 5/8. Still saving 18 for something special. Was going to do a Halloween video again, but decided not to because I did one last year. Thanksgiving is past and Christmas is coming. This is December 20th. So, for everybody out there, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to you. Okay, it's been a while, so you have to give me a minute to remember where I left off. But I think I left off telling you that I was going to give you the story about soda becoming slang word pop. Now, from my understanding, what happened is years ago when they first came out with soda, they actually had a soft lead quart kind of plug deal that they would use to put in the top of the bottle to keep the pop in. Now, most people would pull this out, but some people would smack it down into the bottle, and it would lay down in the bottom. But when they done this and smacked it down into the bottle, it made a popping sound, which became the word pop because of the sound that it made. So soda became pop. So soda pop. Now soda, what the problem is, though, is by doing this, if you didn't drink it right away, because, I mean, even if you did, it's still being contaminated because lead was contaminating the soda with lead poisoning. And some people would actually go to bed at night and they would leave their pops up by the windowsill or soda. And when they got up next morning, they would finish drinking it. Well, unfortunately, by then it had a good dose of lead poisoning in it, and a lot of people were dying from it. So they had to change that. And what came to at one point where they had tin caps that went on your bottles, but they had a plastic coating on the inside because tin rust, and they couldn't let that get to the pop. So the outside of the caps would rust, but the inside would not because of the plastic coating that it had on it. And then eventually later it came to where they started using aluminum caps, and even aluminum's bad for you. You don't want to cook with anything that's aluminum. You don't want to try to digest anything that comes in contact with aluminum because that's actually bad for you as well. Then they went to plastic and then tin cans, or aluminum cans, I'm sorry, plastic and then aluminum cans, and gave up the glass bottles, which is gross because I really love the glass bottles. The plastic bottles and the tin cans, aluminum cans, I can actually taste the aluminum in the pop, and I can taste the plastic in the pop or soda, which is not really good. You don't want anything to do with plastics. It's got to do with your food, any kind of containers or anything like that, because plastic derives from a petroleum byproduct. So actually, you're keeping your food and your soda and a byproduct of oil. So that's obviously not going to be good for you, and I wouldn't suggest that you do so. Okay. Now, a little bit more history on soda. Coca-Cola Company, from my understanding, and hope they don't get mad at me for using their name. The Coca-Cola Company actually bought the recipe for Coke from Sigmund Freud. I don't know if any of you know who Sigmund Freud is, but Sigmund Freud is actually one of the most famous psychologists that ever was, and made some groundbreaking achievements in the field. Well, Sigmund Freud would actually take and create this soda concoction that was made with cocaine, and he would give it to his patients, and they would relax better while they were in their sessions and whatnot with him. And Sigmund Freud himself was an avid drug user, cocaine and heroin and opium, which heroin comes from opium anyway, and morphine, which comes from opium. So it just all depends on the concentration that you're process it into. It's like laudanum came from opium, you know. Back in the old days, a lot of them guys that traveled around, you see them on cowboy movies or whatnot still, that they come into town and they got their little tincture wagons and they're selling tinctures. Well, some would sell, you know, just regular water with stuff in it wasn't no good, but other ones carried cannabis products, which was, you know, marijuana, and opium products that they would, and you can make various different medicines out of these, just depending on how it's processed and the concentration of it that you cook it down to, let's say. So anyway, they bought this from him, from Sigmund Freud, and they started producing Coca-Cola on a marketing scale. So when Coca-Cola first hit the market, it actually had cocaine in the soda pop. That's why it was called Coca-Cola. But when all that started going and getting to be put against the law and everything, and it was, you know, they had to take the Coca-Cola, take the Coke out of the Coca-Cola, but they left the name the same. Because, you know, they can't be selling illegal drugs to people in a soda pop. But anyway, that's how that was done. Now, I know I talked to you guys a lot about the ancient Egypt's cultures and stuff, but today I want to talk about the Romans. I mean, the Romans, the Greeks, the ancient Egypt, so many different civilizations and supposedly different people or whatnot, but different civilizations throughout time, because there's just been so many since the beginning. You know, and there's civilizations that you don't even know even existed. But the Romans, I want to talk about the Colosseum. Now, the Colosseum was actually a pretty spectacular kind of. It was a really big deal. I mean, it was huge. Now, you remember me telling you, if you follow me or not, before I've told you about how the Egyptians would use sails and stuff like that to do what they wanted to do. Well, the Romans actually had, because the Colosseum was all open, and the roof was open to the Colosseum, but they actually had rigging that would use like giant sail systems that they could put like a canopy over top of the Colosseum to put a roof over it, and they would have their sailors come in and they would work the rigging on this so that the sails would cover, and you know, they'd cover in rolls and another rolls and rolls and rolls over it, and you'd have to walk across and cover it more. But actually, by the time they were done, you could actually close off the whole entire top of the Colosseum so that way the customers or whatnot in there watching the festivities going on would not have to worry about rain or whatnot, or getting boiled to death by too hot of sun. But anyway, so that was pretty cool. I mean, they could take and put that over, and they could take and pull it back, and whenever they want, and just left it open if they wanted. But that's not the amazing part. The amazing part is what went on under the Colosseum. You got the Colosseum, and you got where all the patrons and whatnot would set up in their rows and watch everybody. And then you got the arena down there, all the gladiators and animals and whatnot would come out and perform for the audience. Uh, Feeding people to the lions, I guess, was entertainment back then, but it's not something we would allow today. But a lot of people, they fed Christians and other various religions to the lions or whatnot for entertainment. The Romans kind of got off on that kind of thing. They were also descended from ancient Atlantis as well. More of the lizard type people, though. So anyway, the amazing part was what went on underneath. I mean, underneath it was just a great big giant mechanical operation. They had big giant elevators that they could take and bring stuff up to the center of the Colosseum ring or whatnot, like they do nowadays in a lot of them big places where they do magic shows and stuff like that you go to. Underneath it was just all a bunch of gears and pulleys and elevators and passageways and secret trap doors and everything that they could bring animals into the Colosseum ring with. They could bring military guys out there, like the gladiators fighting each other. They would come out through the floor, or they would come out through the passageways on the sides of the Colosseum. They led up into there. And they also had giant aqueduct systems that would run down through all there, bringing in their water and everything. Now, the amazing part is you could actually seal off the entire ring of that Colosseum. And I mean, they just pumped this thing full of water like a lake. I mean, they could actually create lakes and stuff. And they would create a lake type deal with inside the ring of the Colosseum, where they could actually bring in 6 full-size battleships and have it floating around inside this Colosseum ring. And they would do mock battles and stuff too to entertain the patrons. And you gotta understand, there's a lot going on there. I mean, these people were not dumb. They were not primitive, by far. They were actually more advanced than what you are today. They just knew how to use the forces of nature and the forces of the universe and the laws of physics and everything to accomplish everything that they wanted to do. And a lot of times you people, you overthink things. You try to solve something, and you try to come up with this great big huge giant equation, and it's actually just as simple as it could be. You're just overthinking it. That's all it is, you see. But anyway, that was pretty amazing about that. And they had aqueduct systems that would bring water, and they had inside bathing just like Egypt. You had the big giant bathtubs and whatnot down on the floor you could walk down into. They had indoor plumbing. They had bathhouses set up for everybody to use, which we need to do today. We need, like that's in my PAN plan. We still need to. We got to offer public restrooms, public bathing places where people can go take baths, like they do over in Japan and everything. I don't know if they still do, but they used to. Public, laundry rooms and stuff, so people could go do their clothes and everything. If they ain't got the money to do it, I mean, that's just the way the advanced civilization works. I mean, you take care of your people. You don't let people live in the streets. You don't let people be poor. And when you got bad rulers and people that are in control, this is what happens, because they're sticking all the money in their pockets instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's taking care of the people. And this needs to stop. But the Romans were also, and they weren't the only ones, by the way, but they're the ones that are well known for it. So we'll go with this. The Romans were very well known for creating roads. And I mean, their roads were superior to what we got today. They would last longer. They were more lightweight. I mean, they just had them things running everywhere. And then not only on top of that, the Romans created actually the first type of like a concrete that they used to make. Unfortunately, one of the main ingredients was blood that they would bleed out of their slaves and whatnot, or enemies, to mix in with their concrete mix. But it wasn't so much as the blood that they were after, it was the iron in the blood that they were after, was the key ingredient for that. Now, this concrete could actually be poured inside the water. So, like if you're building bridges or stuff like that, you could actually pour the concrete down inside the tubes and have it being exposed to the seawater or whatnot, and it would still harden. And actually, their concrete hardened harder than any concrete that we have today. We are actually, today time, the people that are designing stuff with the concrete are actually discovered that the Romans' concrete is better than what ours was. It takes more pressure. When you put it under a test for crushing pressure to see how much pressure is going to apply to crush it, the Romans' concrete, even though it's, older recipe, actually holds up better under pressure and sets inside of water, like I said. So we're actually starting to take and using their recipe to start making concrete now. And what you got to understand is anything that's ever being invented in this civilization is not being invented for the first time. It's being reinvented, because it's been done over and over and over and over again throughout countless civilizations beyond longer than your brain is capable of understanding. I mean, we've got bolts and stuff that it's been dug up out of the ground and it's been perfectly preserved, and you can see they're actual bolts and hinges that actually went on mechanical stuff that's, predate millions and millions, some even billions of years old. And you can carbon date that where you can't carbon date rock. It's impossible to carbon date rock. I mean, rock's been around since the beginning of time. So you can't carbon date rock. But you can carbon date metal. And that's what bolts are made out of and hinges are made out of. And when they're perfectly sealed in something where they're preserved, they can't rust. So therefore, they don't decay and they don't fall apart. They remain intact. And when you crack them open and you see this, and you could tell that they were actually more superior than what we were being told. You're being lied to. The governments lie to you. The churches, the mega churches are lying to you. All them people, they're lying to you because they don't want you to be intelligent. Of course, the knowledge is forbidden because, if you were smart, you would realize you were slaves. So, of course, it's forbidden. But anyway, that's just what I want to talk to you today about when coming from them. I mean, they're not the only civilization. You got the ancient Mayans and the Aztecs, and they all built, big old giant temples and everything. And so they all had, they saw them on TV, they're a bunch of little savage looking people running around and all primitive the way they act. Well, they're not primitive because look at what they had built. I mean, they can't even figure out how they built it. I know how they built it. And I'm not going to tell you that part. I was going to share that knowledge with you. I've had too many people taking my knowledge over the years that I have shared with certain groups. And they actually go write books and stuff for their own personal gain. My knowledge is not used for personal gain. It's used for the better of civilization. It's used to help people. It's used to move us forward, not where somebody can go market it and use it for their own personal gain and wealth. So a lot of my teachings are going to be kept silent now because I've had just too much of that just going on. And one of them actually went out and wrote a book, so now I can't even use one of my own family's titles because they got a copyright or whatever on my family title. So now I'm not even allowed to use one of my family titles legally because they stole it from me. So from now on, my knowledge is going to be limited that I give to everybody until I get everything under control and we get these monsters out of control and we start actually getting the poor people, the 99%, back where they belong, back on track, and get rid of this 1% of corruption that's just destroying everything, our environment and our civilization and all of you and every living thing on this planet. I mean, we just can't let it happen anymore. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're standing up. But I will give you other stuff, to get you going. And as we go down the line, more stuff will be revealed to you. But from now on, it's going to be on bits and pieces. And I'm not going to be so forthcoming as I've had been in the last few decades. I know most of you, I just got on Facebook a few years ago. I didn't really want to get on Facebook. I never really agreed with Facebook to begin with. Since I've been on there, though, I've actually liked it and I've grown to like it, even though I've had a lot of problems and I've gotten a lot of bad apples. But you always get some bad apples in the bushel. That's just it's like weed in the garden. You got to take the weeds out of the garden so the garden will grow. So this takes a lot of time. A lot of people ain't got patience, but I've got time on my side. So I've got patience. I'll weed through. And I've got, some people, because people wear a lot of different faces. Sometimes, you can even get fooled. When you're working on a global basis and you're an empath and you're a prophet, but you're working on a global basis, I mean, you feel everything in the world. So sometimes, some people do slip through the cracks and they appear to be something that they're not because they're wearing a mask. But eventually the truth will come out. You will see who they are. They will reveal them true selves within time. And then you need to get rid of them because you just cannot allow negativity like that into your society because it'll destroy your civilization. And right now, this is what's going on. You're just corrupted with negativity, and it's destroying your civilization, and in the process, your society. I'm sorry, and then in the process, which is destroying your civilization. I just love the piece out there, but yeah, it's like a domino effect. You just can't do that no more. It's just like they try and tell you that they're all different and the leaders are all different, and most of them they're all related to each other. I mean, every president that's ever been a president in the United States is all related to each other, and I've got that on my Facebook walls, and I've explained that to people forever. They're all related to me. Most of the major royalty family in the world are all related to me. They're all related to everybody else. I mean, we're all just one big family, except for they're the lizard side, and I'm a serpent. And I love you, and they hate you and want to destroy you. But they turn you against us by telling you lies and twisting your religion into stuff that it is not actually what it is, because they seize powers, but it's gonna change. We're gonna get things back going again, and we're gonna straighten this mess out because you deserve better. You don't deserve this madness that you've been living. War, disease, poverty, global hunger, homeless people. This is not an advanced civilization. This is chaos. This is hell. This is madness. It's insanity. It's sick. And there's no reason it's got to exist just so a few people can still pretend money in their pockets and run around and pretend to be kings and queens, and which they're not. And like I said before, presidents and stuff like that are not even recognized by the creators and creation. And, I'm negative blood type, and if you do any kind of research, you'll find out that goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden and before, back to Atlantis, and back before my people even came to this planet. And their people came to this planet as well, but they were, like the soldier drones or whatnot that just stabbed us in the back, sort of like the Caesar kind of story where they all ganged up and stabbed Caesar to death and seized control of power. Well, basically the same kind of thing there. But, they didn't get all of us. There's some of us still out there. And we've been growing. And we've been adding. And we've been spreading. And, it's time. It's time. And once you all realize that everything that I'm telling you is the truth, then you start and stand up for yourselves. Then what are they going to do? 1% against 99% of the population? They're not even 1%. They're less than 1%. You have the power. You are the power. This is your planet. This planet was created for you, not for them. I mean, they wanted you created for slaves when we first made you and whatnot, but we fell in love with you. We didn't want you to be slaves. That's why we started teaching you our knowledge. And they didn't like that, so they destroyed it, and they twisted everything around because they want to control you. That's what it's all about. Everything they do is about control. I mean, open your eyes and look what's going on. You're nothing more than minimum wage slaves. Some of you get a little better, gives the other slaves some hope that they think they're going to get somewhere. But if you look who's got the real power, it's the ones on top flying around in their $100 million jets, living in their $60 million mansions on their $40 million yachts, got garages and warehouses full of vehicles and other toys. And it's just, you take that. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Now, in the PAM plan, everybody gets a fair share of the pie. Everybody works. There's no slackers in our society. There cannot be any slackers in society, So you gotta work. But in return, you never have to worry about anything again. And there's just so many different things we could do. I'm sure we could fit everybody into something that, it's because like my dad used to tell me. My dad, he was a mean son of a gun, but he was a knowledgeable man. He was a fair man when it came to dealing out fairness. He was harsh on the punishments, I'll give you that. And he also made sure that you could withstand stuff. I mean, but anyway, he always told me that, you got to earn your keep. So that means you got to do whatever you got to do to earn your keep. And you got to work, you work. But also, he also told me that if you find something to do that you love doing, then you never actually work a day in your life because you're just doing what you love to do and you're getting paid for it. So this is what we got to do. And I got to explain to you before the Celtic peoples back in the ancient times and the Egyptians and some of the Romans and the Native Americans. I mean, the Native Americans, don't write them off because they're Celtic too. We observe our children as they grow. And we watch to see what their natural gifts are as we're teaching. And then we hone in on their natural gifts. So like I've told you before, you start seeing all the other children following around one child, then you know that one child is obviously going to grow into be a good leader or a great leader. And if that child's got able to make good decisions and he looks out for his people and not just for himself, then he's going to be good leader material. So you also got to watch out for that because sometimes the other ones will follow somebody because of fear. And you can never lead by fear. You got to lead by example. You never want people to hate you. You want to be loved. If everybody loves you, you ain't got to worry about being assassinated. Why would anybody assassinate somebody they love? They only assassinate people that do them wrong. They only go after people that are hurting them, because they're just trying to protect them and their families and stuff, and they're trying to stop the madness. So if you don't create that situation, then you ain't got to worry about that situation. And the only people that worry about keeping secrets are dishonest people. Because if you're honest, you don't have no secrets. I mean, it's just like, your lover goes out and it might be your girlfriend or your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or whatnot, and they go out and cheat on you. Well, now it's a big secret and they're keeping a secret. Well, it's a secret because they did wrong. That's why it's a secret. So if you don't do wrong, there's no need for secrets. So just the fact alone that they tell you they got secrets tell you that they're doing wrong. I mean, it's common sense. It's like I told you, every lie is built on a foundation of truth because you got to have truth to build upon. Everything you build has to have a strong foundation. So everything above that foundation that they created to lie upon is the opposite of what they're telling you it is. And it's just common sense. I mean, you don't got to be a freaking genius to figure it out. I mean, you might need one to tell you, but you don't need one to figure it out on yourself if you just actually sit down and, let that thought process. I want to talk about the third eye for a minute. That's why they were poisoning you with these fluorides and stuff in your water, is because it calcifies the pineal gland in the top of your head there, which is your third eye. And it calcifies it so you can't use it. This keeps you in a more slave state so you can't become what you're meant to be, because you were created to be more than what you're allowing to be. And this is a problem because we need you to be what you are meant to be. So we need to get rid of them so you can. That means we need to get rid of all their crap and all their poisons and stuff that are killing you and destroying you and keeping you docile and making you sterile and giving you cancers and other diseases and whatnot with their GMO products and their poison insecticides and pesticides and herbicides. Like I told you, it's nothing but genocide. I mean, the only thing that you're supposed to have is everything that Mother Nature created for you on Mother Earth. And the reason why it's called Mother Earth and Mother Nature, as I've told you, is because everything starts out feminine and then some later become male, but the majority become female. So the creators of everything that exists are female, feminine. So, and they twisted it all around and filled your head with a bunch of bullshit because, they want to have top billing. Well, that's not the way it is. And you're finding out that that's not the way it is. And if you follow my teachings and my lead, you understand that that's not the way it is. You've been lied to. Now, I might get cut off at any time, I don't know, but I'm just going to keep going till I do. This is December 20th, as I said, Christmas in a few days. The kids are probably all excited, I don't want to take Christmas from the kids. I just hate seeing these huge corporations turning it into a profit fest for them, because that's what it all is for them. But the kids, they deserve Christmas, everybody deserves a little special something once a year or whatever, but we need to support the mom and pop stores, as I've been telling you all along, and not the big, huge corporations. So if we quit buying from them, they're not gonna be making any money. They're not just gonna have no choice but to close their doors. So we don't buy from them; they'll go away, and we just start investing our money into the mom and pop stores. And the only problem is they got control of the mom and pop stores too, because they have to buy from the big corporations. So once we get everything taken and lead gets put back into the new global community council that I have formed, we're going to restructure everything, the whole entire government. Everything on the globe is going to be restructured so everybody gets the same pay scale. I don't believe in money, but you're so accommodated to using money. I can accommodate you by creating it any way you need it to be created. So you stay in the illusion that money exists anyway, but everybody's going to be paid the same kind of pay scale across the globe. There's no more going to be any, people getting pennies for nothing. Is why they're sending it over here from other countries, and they work all day for a bowl of rice or something. They have to work 12 days for a bowl of rice, 12 hours, I'm sorry, for a bowl of rice or something. I mean, that's not going to happen anymore. And the people that are getting these $100 million jets and everything, well, that's not going to happen anymore, because it's all going to be fair, shared. Business owners will make a little bit more because they're business owners, but they're not gonna get everything and leave the poor little people with nothing, the laborers with nothing, because that's not gonna happen. Everybody's gonna have a fair share, a fair slice of that pie. And that's the way it should be, because this is the way an advanced civilization is. It's all included in your pay package. Nobody gets nothing for free. As I've told you, everything's included in your pay package. And you can't say it won't work, because there's a bunch of businesses and stuff that do it all the time. My family's done it. I've done it. Billions of other corporations and businesses around the world do it. You get your company car. They pay all the expenses for the company car. You get a gas card. You get company housing. They pay for all your expenses for the company housing. You get paid medical. You get paid education. You get paid money for an allowance that you live on. You get a lot of them to supply your foods or clothing allowance. I mean, everything is going to be set up as part of your pay package. So nobody's getting anything for free. So you need to get that out of your head. The only people that's going to try and twist it around to that are obviously the thieves that want to keep it that way. Because they don't want you to understand that this is the way it could be, and everybody could be happy, and everybody could have a fair slice of pie, and everybody could live a comfortable life, and nobody will ever be homeless, nobody will ever be hungry, nobody will ever freeze to death or go cold. You'll have all the medical you need, and it's going to be good medical. It's going to be Mother Nature's medicines, and not this toxic Frankenstein. I can't say it right because of the, I'm probably going to get in trouble for the Coca-Cola one already. But the the Frankenstein labs and doctors of them, we can't have that no more. Everything's got to go back to the way it was intended. The way it was meant to be, the way it was created to be, the way you were designed to be, and not what they're turning you into, you see. So we need to revamp everything. I mean, we got to revamp this whole civilization. We got to revamp how everybody thinks. We got to restructure the governments. And nobody has a right to tell somebody that they can't practice their own religion. Even if I don't agree with your religion, I'm not going to take it away from you if that's what you want to believe in. But I'm telling you, every religion on this planet and beyond. It was all wrapped around my root religion to begin with, and just got twisted over time through. It's like when you're translating something. I explained to you, there's not always words that match up in a different language, so they substitute it, which changes everything, or they change it on purpose when they're translated because they want to put their idea in there. So it's like a rumor. You know how rumors are. Somebody tells a rumor to somebody, and then it goes to another person, then it goes to another person, then it goes to another person, and by the time it gets back, it comes back to the person that actually started the rumor. They can barely even recognize that it was what they started because it's been changed so much. So it's pretty much the same way when you're translating religions and stuff throughout different countries and different languages, and then you got people that just get in there and monkey it all up on purpose because they're blinded by their own faith, and they can't see that anything else could be anything different. And actually, it's all basically the same thing, because when you start studying various religions and stuff like I have over this lifetime alone, since I came back into this body and before, because uh, it's been handed down through the family bloodline as well, on top of the knowledge that I brought with me from the universe and everything that's coming back in, because the floodgates has been opening these last few years, and more stuff has been coming in. So there's just a lot of things that you're going to be discovering, and you're going to be realizing that it's all a bunch of lies that they created to keep you into an illusion, sort of like the Matrix kind of thing. But I mean, you could tell if you use your common sense. I mean, you could take 1,000 people, and 333 of them people is going to read. Well, you take 1,000 people, and they're all going to read this, say, religious book. Now, 333 people are probably going to come out with basically the same concept of what's going on. Um, 333 people is going to have loose translations of what might be going in, and they'll be kind of like agreeing and disagreeing on some parts. So 3,300 people, 333 people, I'm sorry, for each group is going to be each taking away a different concept of what it means, but only the one person out of that 1,000 is going to understand what it actually means, because they're already on the path of enlightenment. So they can actually read the exact truth. It's like reading between the lines. All the bullshit just fades away, and the only thing that we see is the truth. Now, when you get doing that on a level that I do it on, and you start comparing these to all these other religions from all over the world, and from ancient times to modern day time, present day now, and you can melt away all the bullshit, and you can recognize all the similarities and that there are in the religions of the truth, you then realize it's actually all the same religion that's just been twisted and modified to each group's individual own idea that they wanted people to believe, and not what it actually was. So it's just stuff like that. Santa Claus, I want to talk about Santa Claus for a minute while we're on here, because Christmas in a few days, like I said. Actually, Santa Claus was a German character. It started over in Germany, and there was actually a guy over there that actually did this stuff. He would make wooden toys and whatnot throughout the year, and he would come into the small village down below where the area he lived in, and he would give toys and stuff to all the poor kids and everything in the town. To give him something. That was just something he did on his own. And then from there, the idea just grew, and then, of course, the corporations, once they got a hold of it, it all became a big profit scam. So it got twisted out of what the original meaning was meant by it. But mainly, what you gotta look like for any festival or any holiday is the real important part. The real gift of Christmas is when all your family and friends are all gathered around together and everybody's having a joyous time and they're feasting and they're laughing and they're playing music and everybody's telling stories and the kids are playing and the adults are playing their own games and it's quality time together. And this is what we need to do. We need to start having more of this. You got communities out there. You're living in communities. Start having community barbecues and stuff. A lot of places already do this. But invite all your neighbors over. And don't worry about what skin color they are or what religion they believe in or what language they might speak. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. That's all this surface bullshit. You know, the real deal is what's inside of a being and how they act and how they treat people. And you'll start realizing once you start getting these communities together and start doing things together, and I mean people from all different walks of life doing stuff together. I don't care if you're a long-haired hippie or a motorcycle. I got a lot of motorcycle people in my family too, so it doesn't matter. I mean, a lot of them people are really good people. They'll help you, but most of them are, most people are scared of them. And there's bad ones, like there's bad apples and everything. But once you start getting your communities together and you start getting to know all these different people and you start realizing that you're more alike than you are different. And the rest doesn't matter. Just because they practice another religion does not do anything to your religion. And it's the same religion anyway. You just don't know it. But, belief is belief. And what somebody else believes should not change what you believe, and vice versa. But if you're intelligent and you start doing what I do, and don't take me wrong, I'm not trying to insult anybody or nothing. I never disrespect anybody, and this is not what this is about. But you start realizing that, it's all the same. No, a rose is a rose, no matter what label you gave it. So a rose is a rose, no matter what name you call it. It's still a rose, the same. So, same thing as that. Let's face it, everybody needs something to believe in. And, back in the original times, when they first started creating different religions and stuff, uh, actually, it was the gods were both good and bad, just like you are. Humans, and I don't care what kind of being you are, you have the potential of either being good or bad. I mean, you could see this in your own society. And you were created after the gods' fashion, the gods and the goddesses, and the goddesses are actually the top ranking bill. And I'm sorry if this insults anybody, but when it comes to anything in creation, you got to give all that credit to the female side. They're the goddesses, The guys, they do a little 1% of the work, as I've told you before. But anyway, like I said, you just got to start getting in there and getting to know people instead of judging people by what other people say or the propaganda that you hear on TV or the bullshit, that people do. And it can't be like that. You don't judge a person for their color. You don't judge them for what they believe in. You don't judge them because how they dress. You shouldn't judge anybody to begin with, but people are what they are because of how they are and how they treat other people and how they act towards people. And, if you got somebody that's a different color, but they're good people because they go out, they help people in the neighborhood. Hey, the old lady across the street can't mow her lawn, so the guy goes over and he takes care of her lawn for her or whatnot. Or they see somebody trying to work on their house and they can't work on it. The neighbor comes over and helps you work on their house. And, it's how you treat people. It's how you work together as a community. And this is what the whole idea of the new global community council is because I'm going to make everybody in the world into one big giant tribe of people. It's going to be a rainbow tribe. Everybody's going to have different colors and different this and different that, but we're going to grow together. We're going to learn together, and we're going to prosper together. And we're going to turn this civilization around. We're going to turn these societies around. And we're going to create a better civilization for all of us, for every living thing on this planet. But in order to do this, we got to get rid of the corrupted monsters that are poisoning us and making us sick and destroying everything. And I understand, just like in alchemy or anything else, you got to destroy in order to create. But you don't ever want to destroy people. You don't want to ever destroy living things. You don't want to ever destroy historical monuments or people's knowledge, their tablets, their scrolls, their books, whatever. You don't want to destroy any of that. That's just ignorance. Destroying is like if you're taking material out of the mountain or a block, say a granite mountain, and you're cutting down the material to use for blocks or whatnot. That's destroying to create, not each other. So when it says that you have to destroy in order to create, yes, you do have to destroy in order to create, but you don't have to destroy each other. You don't have to destroy nature, because let's face it, people, if we don't have the water to drink or the water to provide irrigation to our crops that grows in the soil, or the air that we breathe, none of you are going to exist. You're all going to be dead, and they're poisoning your water. They're poisoning your soil. They're poisoning your air. They are literally destroying the environment that you need to live in. And they make you sick, so you have to go to them, which they turn around and give you poison for medicine instead of actual medicine. So, because they're destroying the actual medicine, Mother Nature's medicine. That's why they're going and destroying all these rainforests and everything, because that's where most all your medicines and stuff are. Your real Mother Nature given medicines that actually keep you healthy. And they're pumping this crap down you to kill you, because they don't want you here. And it's the only reason why they tell you you're overpopulated. Look at how much of the world we have that nobody's living on. And you're going to buy that bullshit that you're overpopulated? Are you serious? Are you going to buy that? They're forcing farmers to throw away 50 to 70% of their crops, making them keep them in the fields and letting it rot. Their fruits, their vegetables, their freaking medicines and stuff. And we're overpopulated because they can't feed the world. Well, maybe if you quit wasting everything and making them destroy it and let it rot in the fields so these corrupted people can control the stock market prices, then you wouldn't have a welfare program. You wouldn't have welfare Medicaid programs and stuff, because people wouldn't be sick from eating their poisons and stuff. I mean, come on, people. And then you got these corporate chain stores, as I told you, like these big corporate chain grocery stores and stuff that force you to buy the products bulk in order to save a few pennies, knowing that you're going to throw 40% of that away on top, and that's the 40% of what makes it to market out of the 50 to whatever percent they make you throw away to begin with. So by the time you actually do the figures, we're throwing away 70 to 80, maybe 90% of our food and medicines and stuff, so these people can make it rich. So there's no way that we're overpopulated. I mean, at one time on the planet alone that I know of, the population was 10 times more than what it is now. There's only like 7.6 billion people, 7.6 billion people in the world, and there's been over 70 billion people in the world before. So yeah, it's all lies. Look at all the land that's not even being used, or anybody living on it. I mean, come on. As I've told you before, we could take the whole entire global population, 7.6 billion people, and put them all in Alaska. That's one state out of one country. Okay? And put everybody in Alaska, and each individual being could have a 2,000 square foot living space and still have plenty of room left over in that one state, just out of America's country. And then you got the rest of the world. And then you're only allowed to see less than half of the world to begin with. So You got the other over half of the world that you never even seen, and nobody has for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years because they keep it from you. You can only go so far in every direction that you can think of before you come across these signs and stuff that says nowhere, no man's land or whatnot, and you got to turn around and go back, or else you're shot on the spot or you're arrested because they don't want you to see what's past that point. It's a secret. And what are secrets? Told by dishonest people. Just like forbidden knowledge is kept from you by dishonest people, because there's no such thing as good or bad knowledge. Only good or bad people that use the knowledge. So, there ain't no such thing. Now, I want everybody to sit there and contemplate and start doing some investigation, because we're talking about the tree of knowledge. I mean, the internet. You notice how they're trying to get rid of the internet, and they're trying to suppress the internet, because the internet of today was the tree of knowledge of yesterday. And like I said, they don't want you to have knowledge, because once you become intelligent, and I'm sorry, but this is true, once you become actually intelligent, you would realize that you're all nothing but slaves. So intelligent people don't want to be slaves. So yeah, that's why they keep you fighting. That's why they do the propaganda. That's why they want you hating each other. That's why they segregate you with these borders and passports and walls and fences, and they tell you stories and propaganda that make you hate each other, and they'll go out and commit heinous crimes, and then they'll put it on somebody else so that way you hate them people more because of what happened. I mean, it's all a big show, a big scam, a big con. You know, I mean, look at Catholic and Christian priests and stuff. You know, and churches and whatnot molesting children and everything and getting away with it. I mean, you think God, this God that they created, if he existed, would put up with that kind of thing? Because if that's what he represents, if he is true, why would you follow a God that allows priests to molest your children? It's just nasty. And people are evil, and that's all there is to it. And you need to realize this. Yeah. And you really realize that mother's the one you need to be praying to. Because mother's the one that's behind creating you. And just like all of her daughters carry on her chain of creation. Because they are the tree of life. They are the family tree. They are the DNA, the bloodline that all things are recreated from. From the mother to the daughters, to the daughters, to the daughters, to the daughters, since the beginning until now. Someday you'll figure it out. Someday maybe you'll get a clue. You know, maybe when you're sitting in there in the hospital and you're watching your first child be born for the first time, and you're watching what your old lady's going through, and you realize that this life is coming out of her. It's coming into this world through the passage of creation and becoming a living being that was growing inside of her. She is creation. Males have a little part to do with it, less than 1%. Most of the time, sit on the couch, like nowadays, watch football games, drink some beer while the old lady's laying there in agony, and she's gaining 50, 75 pounds worth of weight, and she's miserable if it's in the summertime because it's hot. She's even hotter, and she's eating for two, That baby's in there just kicking the living shit out of her. So she's got like a boxer in there using her for a punching bag, but she's the punching bag, and the boxer's on the inside, just kicking the shit out of her. And you don't feel none of that. You don't go through none of the pain. You don't go through none of the, the agonizing backaches and headaches and your legs aching and your feet aching because you're carrying all this extra weight, and your body's being twisted in so many different forms and shapes. And the woman does all that. The female does all that. So she is the chain of creation. As is above, so is below. So as is below, so is above. And down here, females create all living things in nature. Anything other than that is Frankenstein. So, it's your education system. It's designed this way. Just like your religions are designed this way. They've been twisted to the point where they want you to believe everything is the opposite of what it actually is. It's that good is evil and evil is good. That's all there is to it. I mean, I'm sorry, but because if you can call priests that molest your children being good, then you're freaking evil. That's all there is to it. And if you fall for it, you're not only evil, but you're dumb. And I'm sorry. And then you got the Pope that just comes in and, let's throw some money at it. Money that you people give them anyway. Because that's where they get all their money. You got to think about this. While you're sitting in your church next time around, and you're sitting there praying to this invisible guy in the sky that nobody has ever seen, just taught through, about this through books that were wrote thousands of years ago. Like My Little Pony. I'm sorry, I hope I don't get in trouble. I do this a lot, so yeah, one of these days I'm going to get in trouble. But these are my own personal opinions, my own personal beliefs, and I'm not trying to discredit anybody by using their name titles and whatnot. So I hope they forgive me. But you're sitting there and you're praying to this imaginary figure that lives in the sky that never does nothing that nobody ever sees, and then they come pulling that collection plate around for you to put your money in, to pay your way into this imaginary heaven that they've created for you to go to. Because, nothing in the universe dies anyway. It's recycled. You get reborn. I've told you that. The question you need to ask yourself is if your God created everything in the universe and everything that lives in the universe, why does he need your money? Why does God need money? Why do these big mega churches have to look like huge giant mansions that your money builds? Why ain't that money going to the poor people? Why ain't they buying baskets of bread and baskets of fish like Jesus that had the two baskets supposedly in the religion, in the Bible or whatnot, where he was passing these two baskets around, and fish would just keep applying into the baskets. They would never run empty. So they were feeding people the fish and the bread so that they could eat. Jesus didn't have a great big giant fancy church, supposedly. He walked and he lived on the land, and he walked from town to town. He wasn't born in a big fancy church. He was born in a stable, even though it's a misconception of the real truth. There is truth in every lie. The real deal was Mary Magdalene. And the Jesus figure was just basically her teacher's aide. I'm sorry, but that's all there is to it. Mary Magdalene, as I've told you in my previous shows, if you go back and listen to them, she was the goddess. She was like Isis and Gaia and Danu and Anu and Diana and Then and so many more that, all the same. Because they're all the same chains. I mean, it's never ending. The mothers, the daughters, the granddaughters, the great-great-granddaughters, all the same bloodline, all the same chain, the family tree, the tree of life, the DNA strain. It's not that hard, people. Have a good night. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's.